So my name's Gillie. I am the training manager for Seafood and Maritime Training. We are based in Salamanca in Hobart. We do a lot of the training work here in Tasmania. Yeah, sure. So origin stories probably for me was as a kid that enjoyed being on the water. I was diving at a young age with my family and really wanted to look at a career opportunity or pathway to keep that passion going. So I started doing weekends and school holidays on a crayfishing boat. Seasickness wasn't my thing, so I got out of that. Then I jumped into aquaculture work. I was studying marine science through college and found an opportunity to start doing some work placements on some of the farms based around the state. Abalone farms, salmon and oyster industry. So I got a good spread to see what the sector looked like. Was offered a role in one of the farms based in Margate, which is in the south of Tasmania. So started there pretty much when I got my driver's license, and yeah, that's how I got my foot in the door. It was about presenting and showing that I was keen to learn and try something new. So that's how I got in. How I got to here, that's a long story, but the abbreviated version is my role went from farmhand duties, so actively farm management, then into fleet management and into work health and safety. Part of the work health and safety role meant that I was working a lot with training organisations to upskill and develop the staff within the organisation that I was working with. And that built a relationship with Seafood and Maritime Training. So there was an opportunity to join the team 3 years ago now. So yeah, jumped at it and moved back from Sydney to join this team and yeah, building the sector. Yeah, so a typical day, we have around 2,200 enrolments a year through Seafood and Maritime Training. I manage a pool of 27, 28 trainers. So we run a contract program where they will come in and deliver certain subjects for us. Most of our trainers are still engaged with industry, which is really helpful when you're talking about the vet sector. So we talk about currency in that. So the start of my day is about managing them and the candidates or students that are in for the day. We can have up to 60, 70 students in at one time. And then I just manage the workload around coordinating these trainers, supporting our key clients, working with the administrative and office management team. And some of it is delivery. So at times I'll jump in and take the Cert 3 and Cert 4 programs in work health and safety. I'll also jump on the boats and do a bit of the assessment work to support the team when we need. So part of my role is to really flex across all those spaces. Yeah, sure. So you need to be super organised. So a lot of my work is about looking ahead and making sure that we've got the right allocation of resources, whether that be simply, resources for students versus resources of trainers to deliver the program, the assets we need to coordinate these. So organisation skills are critical, but having an understanding and a background in the industry is really helpful. So I have 16 years experience in aquaculture and maritime, which then flows on to an understanding of the delivery that was required to meet our obligations from compliance under ASQA through to the work health and safety background, which means I can represent the business organisation from a risk mitigation. Yeah, sure. So if you look at our key clients in the aquaculture sector, they're using a lot of AI tech now. We're using ROVs. We're working remotely on a lot of the delivery that they need to do for certain tasks. So a key component of ours is evolving in that space, online delivery platforms. We train the Australian Antarctic Division teams when they're actually on station. So a lot of that is done remotely now. The flexibility to look at the technology that's being integrated into the vessels. So electronic navigation aids, that can be AIS, radar, plotters. The evolution of that is moving very quickly. So that's really assisting from safe navigation at sea to fatigue management, to upskilling the knowledge base. So that transition from application, but we're working with the theory side of it. We're looking at a simulator program that we've got here so that they can be exposed to the vessel handling aspects that may be not an adverse conditions, if you will, so that we can provide that training and skill set. That it might be a scenario that they will one day face, crossing barways, navigating in restricted visibility, all the things that would really challenge even the most competent and experienced operators. So I suppose if you're in the education sector, you've got to have your intrinsic motivators need to be around helping others to succeed, and that support element is a big part of that. Like I said, we've got 2,500 or 2,400 enrolments per annum, which means we get a lot of students that come through. So the majority of our students are already in industry. They're looking to upskill and progress their careers. So you talk about that catchment in a sector that's, the economic impacts of $1 billion industry in Tasmania, and we support the majority of those students and employees coming through. So you've got the operational sector, but then you've got the scientific community. So we do a lot of work with CSIRO, IMAS, into the regulators, so the Department of Fisheries, aquaculture sectors, all those groups that we can really upskill and standardise the level of knowledge to ensure a safe operation. Yeah, sure. So lots of challenges. Obviously, when you're trying to coordinate and work with 28 trainers, you've got vessels we need to bring in, we've got site visits, so we need to go to slipways, we need to be working with community groups. We deliver a lot of remote training, as in regional training. We still maintain that support for the community. So the challenges around working with these groups, obviously when you're talking these numbers, there's not everyone will attend all at the same time. So the logistics of that can be quite challenging. And that really ties into how you can organise yourself and structure your programs to meet the client's needs, but also adapt to the reality of life, and things don't always line up. So we run a lot of flexible models. It's something that I've really worked hard with since joining Seafood Training, so that if we can flex in and out of larger groups by bringing in more assets, or reduce that when we don't have the student numbers, that flexible program allows, the challenges of everyday life, the comings and goings, to be more adapted. Yeah, so the best decision was probably, it's a funny one, it was probably thrust upon me, but I was studying a master's at the AMC, and I got a call from my manager who said, "Oh, congratulations, you're the new health and safety representative for our zone." Like, "Oh, thank you very much." So I took the role on. I said yes, I embraced it, and that trigger then led to me working with the corporate team in health and safety, or what we refer to as operational risk, which then opened up the door to work with Seafood Training and other training organisations. I met with a lot of parliamentary groups on lobbying for safer outcomes in maritime. And yeah, so that then, by saying yes and being open to take on new things, I never thought I'd have a health and safety background with where I was passionate about diving and maritime operations. But yeah, just opening the opportunity up, and that simple phone call and saying, yes, I'll take it on, resulted in corporate opportunities. It resulted in travel for work that meant that I was running sites out of New South Wales and Victoria, which then obviously got us back to here, and taking on a management role with an organisation like this. So probably the biggest thing is, like we just talked about, put your hand up, try something. You're not going to know where it's going to lead, but expect to get in at the ground level and work your way up. If you've got the right attitude, you've got the ability to upskill inside the industry whilst also studying outside of it, they complement each other really well. And that's exactly what I did. I got a foot in the door, 2 weeks work experience, that unpaid obviously. So then that resulted in a career opportunity that I never really looked back on. So it was the ability to take something on and try it, there was like, I did work on an abalone farm where I was bored out of my brains for 2 weeks. No offense to abalone farms, but that was just about saying, yes, let's try it and see whether I like it. But yeah, my advice would be take it on. It won't hurt you. It's minimal time. It will be a good experience and you'll take something out of it regardless. Yeah, favorite thing is the outcome. Seeing students that apply themselves, progress, walk in the door, green, if you'd like to use that term, but just not understanding what their outcomes look like and presenting some course and career development opportunities for them to see that, progressing through a Set 3 in aquaculture program over 2 years where they upskill in a lot of operational, but fish husbandry, health, environmental impact, all these things. And you see these kids and adults glowing at the end of it. There's a real sense of pride there for them to achieve it. Some of these students that we get through left school at 15 because they hated school and went into the industry. And now all of a sudden we're bringing them back into a classroom and saying, sit there for 3 to 5 weeks and learn. Like that's a big challenge for a lot of them. And seeing that, the pride that they carry out after achieving the outcomes and really working at it, because it doesn't come easy. A lot of these guys really have to work at it. You find that they have good operational skill sets, but the theoretical knowledge is lacking, or vice versa. So, working with and supporting people that are really motivated is certainly a good outcome for me, and gives me that motivation to keep on keeping on.